Hello, everyone. Welcome to another webinar from the Young Professionals Network. Today, we have a very versatile and dynamic speaker with us in the building. So thank you so much, Farid, for agreeing to do this with us today. Before we begin the session today, I just want to remind everyone that this is the Young Professionals Network. And what we do is to share stories from young professionals who are navigating their own journey in life. We share stories from them on how they're navigating their life and learn from their stories as well. Today, the theme for this webinar is from local action to global influence. I'm very, very excited for all of the things that you have to share with us today, Farid. If you're here on the call, we have some pre-arranged questions that I would be asking our speaker today, after which we would open it up to Q&A. So you can use the Q&A function on Zoom to drop your questions while we are going through the pre-arranged questions. Or you can also drop your questions in the chat box and we will get to those questions when we get to the Q&A section of the webinar today. Again, please remember to engage with the YPN on all social media platforms. We are on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, and on Facebook as well. And we also have the recording of all these webinars on our YouTube channel. So if you missed the session or if you're joining a little bit late, you can watch the recording on YouTube. So without much further ado, I will delve right in. Once again, thank you very much, Farid, for agreeing to do this with us today. Our speaker for today is Farid Ibrahim. Farid studied international relations from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria in Nigeria. He's also doing his MSc in sustainable development from the same university in Nigeria. And he's currently the executive director at Smart Aid Initiative. Me and Farid met in Ghana during the Yali program, and I was very, very impressed by all of your inputs during our class session and the way you carried yourself throughout the whole program. And I just knew I wanted to be in your network to learn from you and learn from the things that you're doing as well. So thank you again for joining us. And to start us off, Farid, can you briefly introduce yourself? I know there is so much more to you that I didn't capture in the introduction. Can you tell us about yourself, what drives you, and what makes you or made you create the Smart Aid Initiative and what the Smart Aid Initiative is all about even? So over to you, Barry.
Thank you so much, Nancy, and thank you for the introduction. And yeah, for me, I'll say I'm super excited to be joining you today. And like for me, this is an opportunity to engage with other young professionals and also like to share the story of the work I've been doing for the past 7 years. And to start with the introduction, before I go into the introduction, before when we met in Accra, Ghana, like for me, it was an incredible experience. And when you were telling me about your plans around the young professional networks, and like it's something that I've always wanted to stay in touch with you as well, because the work you do as well is something I'm super proud of. And I love engaging and also listening to what you have been doing for the past years since we left Ghana. And when you reached out to me, to join this session, I couldn't turn it down because it's something that I've been looking forward to. And thank you so much. My name is Farid Ibrahim, and I'm from Zamfara State, northwestern part of Nigeria. And I lead the incredible team at Smart Aid Initiative, where I serve as the founder and executive director. But as I don't really like using the titles, but now I'm now bent on like always saying my team keep telling me, yeah, you need to start using these titles and also like because they are important. And what's actually motivated me to founding Smart Aid Initiative started, and it can be rooted in like the grassroots where I come from, where it can be linked to going up in a conflict areas where there's a whole lot of challenges around like limited access to education, gender-based violence, and a whole lot of issues where you see young people like you do not have access to quality education. And like coming out from a background where like only the few like us had the opportunity to go to school and also obtain a degree, and to where we find ourselves today. And just me sitting down in my undergraduate days and saying, what then can we do to change things? And this is what actually motivated me more, and sticking to that like the experiences from where I come from was actually the driving force around founding Smart Initiative. And yeah, still something we are still growing, working with other incredible young people and also making impacts across our communities. So Smart Aid Initiative was originally founded in 2017 and registered as a nonprofit organization in Nigeria in 2020. And still, we're still in existence, supporting young people, supporting grassroots organizations. So for me, it is something I hold in a very, very high regard and passionate about since from childhood. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm extremely, extremely impressed by you. Like even seeing like your community and seeing the gap in your community and then deciding to create something out of that is very, very, inspiring. It's part of why we have the YPN as well. I also saw a gap in my life and in the community, hence the Young Professionals Network. So thank you so much. And I also want to like engage with Smart Aid Initiative, right? Any way, any shape or form that I can, apply myself. I can volunteer for you guys if you guys like
Yeah, sure,
getting
definitely,
volunteers.
definitely.
hmm
That would be an incredible opportunity for us. They are always open for that, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So my next question for you is, I know that you are a global citizen at this point. Like I saw your post when you were in China. I saw you've traveled around Africa. You're doing amazing, amazing things for our continent, and I'm very, very proud of that. So, what key turning points has shaped your path in policy advocacy and youth leadership? I just want to know, like, why do you do what you do? Like, you have been fortunate to sit in all these big rooms from China to northern Nigeria and everything in between. So, like, what key turning point has shaped your journey, and why do you do what you do? That's like two in one question, but that's me.
Yeah. So I think I'll start with the first question. And for me, I think my work is definitely and always linked to the grassroots. And there's always a connect within the grassroots and also what you see at the global standing point city where we go out of the country to represent and push for more policy advocacy. And which I'll say it starts as like advocating for access to inclusive quality education. Because most of our focus has been around seeing how adolescent girls and young women will have access to quality education, retention rate enhancement, and also improved access in terms of funding the budgetary allocations for the educational sector and gender responsive as well budgeting, where we started conversations around how do the government understand, yes, we need to start budgeting for like gender responsive budgeting in the educational sector and other sectors that cause across supporting young people where, yes, a woman should have access to a student, a girl child in school should have access to like budgets around menstrual pad support, also like inclusive accessibility support, even for persons with disability. And this is advocacy we've started. And I'll tell you, my journey started when we began the advocacy for a state of emergency in the educational sector in Zamfara State. And then we were battling with a whole lot of issues around insecurity and as well like the educational sector being in a very, very bad shape. And me and my team had a whole lot of advocacy to send in letters, to engaging the stakeholders in the educational sector. And that was like the starting point for us. And since then, we've worked around with other partners like UNFPA, Luminate, UNICEF, and other partners who are supporting the incredible work we do. But one thing that is actually a standing point for us, which is linking it with the global perspective you see today is, for instance, I serve as one African champion for the one campaign where I represent yeah, the African team. So currently our advocacy is on like the financial annual financial framework, which is the EU budget for the next 7 years. As you know, the EU sets its own budget for the next 7 years, which focuses on what they intend to do and also talking about the official development assistance to support global programs across Africa. So now we need to start taking grassroots local action and the experience that we have at the grassroots to the global platforms, and also, for instance, the EU Parliament. And this has been something I did last year, I think, since around November, October, December. I've been to Brussels. I've engaged a whole lot of EU leaders, both virtually and even at the EU Parliament. And this is how we bring the stories of the grassroots to the global, because now there is funds that are allocated for the global programs and also for Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, which are pegged to support around the health sector, education sector. But one of the major challenges that we face is around ensuring most of these funds are actually allocated in the MFF, that budget for the EU, and as well making sure these funds get to the grassroots. So you see, this is how most of our work are channeled, ensuring, yes, even at the grassroots, we are pushing, we're engaging policy makers, stakeholders, and then we still need to take it out to the global platforms where we know decisions are made, in those tables where decisions are made, and then we tell them, okay, these are the impacts, tell them human impact stories of what we do, and then the need for them to provide more funding. And that does not stop only just at the global platforms. Let's talk about the national platforms where like we engage the national government as well around. They need to bring in much more funding and support. And also another major linkage of my work is around what we see as the NEL Fund today. We've done a whole lot of advocacy when I was serving as the Deputy Speaker of the Legislative Mentorship Initiative Parliament under the office of the former Speaker, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. So it was a mentorship program, and also we having a youth parliament. So we did a whole lot of advocacy, and he supported that, and that was what led to the NEL Fund. You see, where you see young people now have access to the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, and they are accessing it. And this is one of the impacts we're seeing, where now it has reduced almost about 50 to 60% barrier or boundary that is stopping any young person from going to tertiary education, university level, and more. So for me, it has not been an easy ride or like journey. It has been a whole lot of like transforming your work into more impacts, and also sharing it at the global platforms, telling stories to show the world that yes, we young people are taking up responsibility. We're doing a whole lot of things and making our communities a better place. And this is what is also opening more global opportunities and platforms for us to engage, speak on behalf of our communities, and also see how we can get more support for them. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. That's very, very impressive. While you were speaking, I was hearing grassroots, I was hearing access, I was hearing storytelling, I was hearing advocacy. I was like, wow. And you mentioned something. You said, like it started with you finding or seeing a gap in your community in Zamfara State, the insecurity,
Yes.
the lack of access to basic amenities, like even the girl child, like, not having like pads, when they're on their, menstruation and monthly flow. And that was when you decided to actively start doing something to closing that gap. But I mean, I want you to, this is like a follow-up question now, because like it seems so easy the way you said it, like standing before like the National Assembly in Abuja and writing a petition to the National Assembly in Abuja, like telling your story. That is daunting. Many young professionals see that as daunting. They see that as beyond their reach. Like what am I going to say? Like, how am I going to petition? Where should I even like start from? Who should my petition go to? What is the language should I add to my petition? Like, that was where you started. But like my question is, were you not afraid? Like, how were you able to like be so daunting and know the exact thing to do? Of course, you know that, oh, this is the gap in the society and you wanted to close it. How did you know that it was like writing these type of petitions to the National Assembly that was going to be the starting point, and then translating that from a local level into something international? into something global, like, sharing that same story at the United or at the European Union. You say you went to the EU as
EU
well, like,
Parliament.
EU Parliament. So, like, what were you feeling? Like, what was going through your mind when you were doing all these things? Like, what was propelling you? Were you not afraid? Like, what I want to just like know the mind or the headspace that you were to do this amazing thing.
Yeah, for me, I think for me it's all about like the confidence, building the confidence. That's the first thing I would say about. I think over the course of years, it's something that I'll tell you and other young people who are listening to this is about building confidence. I think over the course of years, I've gathered myself in terms of supporting myself, seeing how you can build self-confidence. And also another thing that has supported is like building your capacity learning because learning has made me see a whole lot of things from different angles where you engage people that are in higher positions and also going for capacity building. For me, I think one of the lifetime changing opportunities I've had access to that has opened me more to more like learning is around joining the One campaign, going for the yearly RFC, and like other major trainings that I've gone through. Like for me, I've seen this as a step-by-step process that actually enhance my capacity and also mentorship. I think I used to tell people, or I tell my friends as well, that I think I'm one of the luckiest people to have mentors that have supported what I'm doing and advice. It's not easy for you to take up bold steps, just like you've been mentioned. But with mentorship, being able to build yourself, your personal and professional development, then you are able to see how you can articulate yourself and come up with facts and see how you can defend while engaging stakeholders. And another thing that I need to bring out of this is understanding the fact that we need to see policymakers, stakeholders in Nigeria as like partners where you work together with. I think that has actually helped me because I always say we see a whole lot of leadership challenges, governance challenges in Nigeria, but what are you doing to change that? What are you doing as a young person? What responsibility? So me, the responsibility I've actually started on myself is ensuring that I ask questions. I share my policy brief. I write open letters, and I think I've never shared this on any other platforms. I write open letters. I've written more than 40 open letters, and I submit it to like policymakers. And I make use of the FY law in Nigeria. That's the Freedom of Information Law, where I ask questions. So for me, I think it's something around, or it's the fact around building your capacity and also seeing how you can work with our leaders, policymakers as partners and collaborators, and then sticking to your vision and mission and making sure each young people, every young person you see in Nigeria has a responsibility to take in ensuring we get the best of the best governance and leadership roles and also service delivery.
Thank you so much. Like, this is very, very profound. Like, you have talked about like building confidence, like you have talked about capacity building, meaning, oh, now you have confidence, or your confidence will come from the knowledge that you have. Also, like attaching yourselves to like mentorship, having mentors. A lot of the speakers that we have had the privilege of listening to on the YPN have talked about mentorship, right? Having someone who can put you through. It could be a person, it could be an organization, like what the YPN is doing right now, right? So attaching yourself to like mentorship platforms and having mentors, and also learning, asking questions, always asking questions, being very curious to learn and sticking to your vision and your mission. So that's very profound on its own, because like for you to build confidence to be able to sit in these type of rooms that you have had the opportunity to sit in, you have to have substance, right? You have to have something to say. You have to have something that you are bringing to the table. And you cannot have something, you might, of course, like I imagine is the same for you, right? Like having or seeing the gap in your society. But I imagine that when you started like applying yourself, you started seeing even more, you started learning even more about what was going on in the society, right? So the first thing or the first point or the first step is to say, I've seen this gap and I want to close it. But it doesn't just end there, because like by the time you immerse yourself into that situation, you start to learn new things. you start to develop new capacity, right? So always know that as a young professional, you are learning or you are going to learn. It doesn't just end in that initial phase, that initial passion that you have to say, oh my God, there's so much insecurity in Zamfara State. I want to do something about it. It doesn't just end there. By the time you immerse yourself into that niche, you start to learn more, you broaden your horizon. And this is what will give you confidence to be able to apply yourself as you are doing right now, like writing petitions, writing open letters, and even knowing the constitution, like knowing that you have the freedom of information law that you can harness and leverage. And I really like what you said about seeing policymakers as partners. And I dare say, in addition to that, not only as partners, seeing policymakers as human beings that you can actually talk to. I mean, I'm talking to you right now and I'm not stuttering. So why should I stutter when I'm standing with a policymaker, right? No. So like that's so thank you so much for sharing that with us. Another question that I have for you today is I know that you have worked in global institutions. Me and you were part of YALI. I know that you have also done Civicus and you've gone to China and you've done like One Africa. Like those are really, really big platform, EU parliaments. Those are very, very, very big national, regional, and international platforms. So my question is, what lessons have you learned as you have, navigated these platforms that have helped you stand out among your peers? Like, what unique thing have you seen in your experience that has shaped your reality today? Is my next question.
Yeah, for me, I think what has shaped me for over the years is the people I work for or the people I work with, because I keep saying, yeah, we working at the grassroots with underserved communities is not majorly saying, yes, we work for them, but rather we are working together to achieve a common. So for me, I think what has shaped me is the experience at the grassroots level and also understanding the resilience of people where you could work with and you could create ideas and also project with. And then you understand, yes, there's like a whole lot to talk about these people, and you need to kind of shed more light on them to the world. So for us, what we are trying to do is, number one, amplify their work. That is the first thing, seeing how we can amplify the grassroots. And just building on your question, that's why I said the first for me is the experience from the grassroots. And also another aspect is around ensuring you understand the development sector space, where you stick to the realities of impact you make. You need to understand, sit down and see, oh, are we really achieving something good? Where are we heading to? Are there impacts of what we do? And then also, who are your partners? You need to identify. It's just around just something like what they call stakeholder mapping, and who are your partners and who are the people and they are willing to stick with you and the communities where there are challenges. And also being yourself as a young person who is actually a force in driving this change and also making this impact. And being yourself is still falling back around what I shared around, like building your personal and professional development, because that is one of the key things that actually makes you look different, unique from other young people across the globe. And definitely when you put in most majorly efforts, you definitely see a light at the end of the tunnel. And for me, this has been a major experience for me. And then that is when you realize that the globe or the world will come searching for you to hear your story, to hear the work about the incredible work you do. And I'm going to share, I think, some of the key works I do with most of these international organizations you've made mention of. Like I said, the One Campaign. Just before you even asked me this question, I made mention of how One Campaign has been able to shape my journey, because I joined One Campaign just when I was an undergraduate, and it's been an incredible experience engaging policymakers. When you join One Campaign program, you know what it actually means to do policy advocacy. You know what it means to engage a policymaker. You've been trained, you yourself, to be a policymaker. So imagine now you've been trained to be a policymaker and then understanding how to engage with the policymakers today. And this has been one of the instruments that has really supported my work. I can tell you, knowing how to engage this policy. And then currently I serve as the youth advisory member, which is also known as the youth action team under the civic cause, which is a global movement for civic participation and human rights across the world. And what we do at Civicus today is ensuring the voices of young people are actually heard across the world. And also, with the shrinking civic space today, we ensure no voice of a young person is actually been silenced, and also the voices of other people are being heard across the world. And under the youth action team, started with the mandate of ensuring, yes, we speak for young people at the global advisory meetings and also most of our engagement. And just recently, we were all at Bangkok at the International Civil Society, where we engaged other young people. We hosted the youth assembly. And that's an interesting point, because the youth assembly still dives back into the question you asked me around what has been that thing that has kept us moving, myself, and also the lessons I've learned. Because during that session, we get to bring in a whole lot, about 100 young people from across the world into a single room. These are young leaders. And then we had conversations with them. What do you see around the civic space shrinking, and also like opportunities around the civic space? And there we had a whole lot of innovation. And one thing that stuck with me then, and this has to do with learning as well, when you meet other young people. I think one young person said, yeah, with the coming of like a whole lot of issues around the international world, like the world events are shaping now, we need to start thinking of having ministries of peace, where what they are saddled with the responsibility is just ensuring peace, and also they having like this permanent seats are representative of the Minister of Peace at the United Nations. And like, this is an incredible idea. And this is what actually an idea that has been nurtured by someone from the grassroots, the global learning space, where you meet young people, you have conversation. For me, like, these are the key important steps. And but the most important thing for me that has sticked for me and helped me is ensuring I stick with my values, and also ensuring I go more in terms of learning, because you can't stop learning. It's a continuous process. You keep on learning. And also, we all didn't get to where we are today, or I didn't get to where we are today, where I am today, because like in just a step, it took multiple steps. It took a whole lot of sleepless nights. It took a whole lot of perseverance and commitment to it. Yeah. So I think this is what I have to share.
Thank you so much. So, like, what I hear you say is like having a very strong sense of purpose, because like this is the only thing that would make you stand out amongst your peers. Like, when you know where you're coming from, when you know your story, because I hear you say that you have worked with the grassroots and you saw the experience from them, the experience that you gained working with them, and the resilience that they have, that has shaped you and shaped your journey. Because like as young professionals, you would sit with people, or if you will be opportune to sit with people who are coming from diverse background, people who you might even be intimidated by. The only thing that would make you unique and make you stand out is having a deep sense of purpose. For you, it is knowing that you are the forerunner of your community. The average youth in Zamfara State that does not have the opportunity to sit in the room that you are sitting at, you are amplifying his or her voice. And that shapes the way you carry yourself in those spaces, because you know that you are not standing there on your own. You are standing there and there's a community behind you. So you cannot afford to even like falter, right? And your story has to be resonating, because you're not sharing your own personal story. You're sharing the story of people, of your community, people who have their voices, who their voices are not being heard. So you are carrying that voice forward as the forerunner. So that's very powerful in itself. And the way to do that is to have a deep sense of purpose and knowing your core. And like you said, also believing in yourself, right? Knowing your values, knowing your own like what's the word called? Like knowing your own self, your mission, your vision for life, like how you are able to like marry those two together, your vision and mission and the voices of your community will make you stand out in like whatever room you find yourself as a young professional. And like I really, really like what you said about storytelling and how you said people want to actually hear your story, right? You might sit there as a young professional in these rooms or in these spaces, and you might ask yourself or tell yourself, like, well, I don't think, or even maybe when you hear the stories of other people, right, you start to relegate your own story to the back burner and say yours is not as impressive as theirs. Whereas it is that uniqueness that people want to hear, right? So always learning to tell your own story so that people do not tell your story for yourself, and knowing that people actually want to hear you speak. They want to hear your story, and your story matters, right? It is not local. It is not on woke per se. It is actually very, very important. So thank you so much for sharing that. I feel like that is a very good segue into the next question that I have, because our theme for today is from local action to global influence. And we have seen you demonstrate that like in all those international organizations that you have been privileged to be in. But then for people like us, young professionals like us, who want to like also get involved in these type of um, global rooms or local rooms, as the case may be, we want to work in international spaces as well. We also want to start from the grassroots and work our way up into international spaces. What would you say, where would you say we should start? Number one, how should we start? And number two, why? Why should we even do it? Like we want to learn from your own story, like why you started what you started, which I know you've already talked about, like the gap you saw in the society. But we want to, make it go beyond that, like to ask about like the where and the how of your own journey and see how we can take that into
Yeah,
perspective.
thank you, Nancy. When you were asking your question, I realized we are using the we. How do we go global and all of that? You're already global, so I think you should be
No,
excluded.
I'm still learning.
Yeah, so I think the first thing I'll say is understanding yourself, like the self-development, self-purpose, defining who you are. I think this is the first thing you need to do. Sit down and define who you are. And then why do you even exist? And also understanding where you come from. Where do I come from? Now, if you can see most of those questions that are raised up are already answered in what I just shared around my work, how I started, and my community. Because we all started from somewhere and we have one or two problems today that are actually we've gone through in terms of experiences, in terms of our communities. And you see those who even have personal stories around how they've been gone through sexual and gender-based violence, abuse, how they grew up in conflict-affected communities, and many more problems. I think this is where you now define yourself and then you ask that important question, okay, now, after defining what am I passionate about? When you define what you're passionate about, the next question you ask yourself is then how can we solve the problems we have? In as much as you have passion, everybody has their own passion, and this is where you align with, oh, are you really passionate about your community? Or are you passionate about other children that are in conflict affected communities today that do not have access to quality education? Just like me, who had the opportunity of scaling and going to one of the best universities in Nigeria. And then you see, how can we make things change? And you see, like I said, passion is the driving force for many young people like us because we started where we I started my journey at Smart Aid just by going to schools and then distributing school materials like textbooks, exercise books, and the thing is when I get my monthly allowance, then I share my monthly allowance into two. I use my monthly allowance half for my upkeep and I keep half for Smart Aid initiative because I have the passion and I believe in what I'm doing. And that has been something that has supported me. Then at the end of every semester, that is 3 months, I look at what I'm able to put together, including other savings or supports that I get. And I call in my friends and I say, oh, I need to go to a school and support a school in terms of access or support a child in paying for their fees and all of that. And then my friends will be, oh, I have amazing and incredible friends. And this is where I think what you are doing with the Young Professional Network is incredible, because this is where you meet networks that will support you. And my friends supported my work. And with that, we go to schools, we support girls, we support young people to have access to. So you see, this is driven by passion, not only passion, and not only passion only, but rather even with your own financial support and also the resilience in you. And after that, you start solving the problem. You now start seeing how you can incorporate your passion with opportunities. And how do you seek opportunities? Is by number one, going out there looking for other opportunities, let's say online, and also other networks like the Young Professional Network, to see how you can meet people that can scale your work in terms of supporting with partners, scale your work in terms of giving platforms, like how you were given platforms for us to come share our work, and then other people and the world listening to what we are doing. And also scaling our work in terms of applying for grants, fellowships that will enhance your capacity and support you. I think these are like the most important things you need to like ask yourself as a young person, and then linking it up with the most two important things: mentorship. Mentorship. I cannot stop talking about mentorship in every platform, because I know mentorship has taken me to places that I never thought of. And one of the things that we young people face is we think mentorship is not about money, but it's about value and resources. And then in the resources, you find what you're looking for in terms of, if you're the one that, yeah, definitely you need to sustain yourself in terms of finances, but resources is the most important thing. Because I've had mentors that it took me years for me to be able to convince them to mentor me, and to where I'm super happy that when they go to rooms today, they keep saying, oh, this is Farid, this is Farid. I get introduced by a whole lot of them about the work I do, and I'm surprised, and I keep asking myself, oh, like this just happened within like a blink of an eye, but it took time. It took a whole lot of resilience, keeping in touch with them, and also convincing them that it's not about what they have, but rather what I'm willing to learn under them, the resilience. So for me, I think these four key points that I've been able to uh, uh, answers the question of where, how, and then at the end of the day, you will see the results. It might take time though, but you will definitely see the results.
I just want to say thank you, truly, because, like, I mean, I don't know about everyone else on this call, but I'm learning a lot. So thank you so,
Yeah.
so much, because, like, this makes so much sense. We always talk about, like, oh, close gap, oh, apply yourself, oh, do this, do that, east, west, north, and south. But very rarely do we talk about, like, the how. Okay, some people do, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So, like, where do I start from? And, and then there's like, oh, silence. There's nobody talking about that. So I really like what you just said about, like, the how, the where to start, and the why you should begin. And I feel like you've you've said this so much that we have to know it at this point, right? You have to define your purpose as a young professional navigating through life. You have to have a purpose. You have to know your why. And I really like what you said about, like, going down and defining who you are as a person. What are your values? What is your mission in life? What do you want out of life? Your own, if you were asked the question now, what do you want out of life, what would be the response that you would give, right? And where do you exist also? Like, not only do you sit down and think about, like, yourself and what you want out of life, or like what propels you, but also understanding your reality. Like what you said, where do you exist right now? Where are you living? What are the realities of your environment? where do you come from? Having that reality or having that same understanding is also very, very grounding. So you say, okay, this is who I am. I am Nancy. I am Farid. And I'm very, very interested in young people. I want to help young people. That is my passion. That is my purpose. But what are my realities? Oh, my realities is I'm from Zamfara State. There's insecurity. There's limited access. There's this, there's that. Having those two information side by side is very, very powerful. And then I really, really like what you said about now metamorphosing that into tangible access. You said you started by just what? Going to secondary schools and sharing bags to them, right? From your own salary, from your own allowance. That is a place to start. So, first of all, identifying who you are, and what you want out of life. Then the next thing to do is to start from where you are. I think one of our speakers said this when they came on board, like having this big goal, but starting from where you are. And then I did every other thing that you said, just like follows through, starting from where you are, using like your monthly allowances, like budgeting, because you talked about like budgeting, you talked about like, oh, your allowance comes and then you put a certain percentage aside. And then you also had talked about friend sourcing. You moved on from using personal funds to also like sourcing for funds from your friends, right, to help you in your smart aid initiative advocacy. And then you moved on to like grant writing. Now you're growing. You see the trajectory. You started with personal funds. You moved on to networking with friends and who gave you support as well. And now you started like writing grants to these international organizations to support your work and your initiative. And then moving on up until you talked about like mentorship. So I just really want to say thank you. And I will encourage everyone on the call to please take these down, take these notes down. These are very, very important things that we need to know as young professionals navigating through our leadership journey. If you have questions, please don't forget to use the Q&A function on Zoom or also drop your questions in the chat box. We have one last question for Farid today before we open it up to Q&A. So my last question is this, and I really like asking this question to all our speakers. If you could speak to your younger self, if you could advise your younger self with everything that you know now, and by extension, us all on the call today and us all in the YPN community, what would it be? What would be the advice that you would give to your younger self?
Well, when I'm asked to give advice, then I kind of go blank at times and try to articulate my words and then put them together. So for me, I think for building on emerging issues, emerging trends, and how we see ourselves, the dispensation currently, I think the first thing I would advise a young person is please make sure you have access to education. Go to school. Please go to school. It's very important. You see, access to education like is the key to open doors to a whole lot of opportunities. And yes, there's a whole lot of emerging trends currently where you don't necessarily need to like go to classrooms. You can learn virtually, enroll in courses. I think one of my key mentors, who also I served under him, shared a story I never believed, where he told me, yes, do you know I never had access to go to school because I had to go hustle and see how I can support my family. Before now, he's now going back to school and supporting himself. So it shows how even if you are not in a conducive environment, there's a whole lot of like ways to support yourself, to go to school, have access to quality education. And the next point is, please, if you don't have a mentor, go get a mentor today. Yes, because it's very, very important. During the course of your life, as we grow up, you define who you want to be and where you are heading to. And you see, mentorship is something that I think majorly in Nigeria, we are losing touch of. When you listen to our leaders, when you listen to even our parents, they tell you how mentorship shaped their life. And now, with the coming of our own generation, we're trying to lose touch in that. But many of us who have kept to the tabs of mentorship are seeing the results today. I think mentorship. And also, the third aspect is believe in yourself and never stop striving for your goals. Just believe in yourself. Because today, even if you are a content creator today, just believe in what you are doing. Today, I think one of the most highest earners today, you see young people are content creators. They earn a whole lot of money. And not because of what anything, it's because of the emergent trends, technology, innovations that are coming up, and other things today where you see people get paid on X. That's why I say, see, now what you study in school doesn't matter. It is what is on your head that matters most, and how you use what is on that matters most in terms of your own IQ, your thinking capacities, how resourceful are you and innovative and creative as well. So for me, I'll say this and always look for networks. Like join the young professional network. Look for other networks that will support you and enhance your capacity. Meet people. You just sit down and then maybe attend an event today, and then I've come across people that say, oh, they're doing incredible work. Let's work together, let's partner, and then they support you with one or two things, or give you like lifetime opportunities that you never expect. So I'll give this key advice for any young person that who is striving hard today to see how they can achieve their dreams and goals. Yeah.
There's no better thing else to say. There's nothing to add to this. I feel like you ate and left no crumbs. So thank you so much. Just to recap, access to education, and it doesn't have to be classroom education. You can take courses. There's so many plethora of online courses that you can take to leverage that as a young professional. Mentorship, you've hammered on this a lot. And I'm going to like look into mentorship again, right? So mentorship, like choose mentors and choose wisely. Number three is you have to believe in yourself, because like a lot of things will happen to you in your life as a young professional. People want to bring you down, or people want to question your intelligence.
Yeah.
If you do not have self-belief, you might, fall along the way. And then never stop striving for your goals. I really liked what you said about like content creation right now, like moving with the trends, the current times and clients that we find ourselves, and just like leveraging what the trends are to achieving your goals. And networking, I mean, you said it's the best. Like join professional networks, like the young professional network, right? Like this, right? This is where we are sharing stories. Like you learn something, even if it's something as small as just like, oh, mentorship that you learned today, at least it's something. So attaching yourself to these networking platforms will also help you as a young professional. So I just want to say thank you so much, Farid, for sharing all of that. And also quickly open it up to everyone on the call today. If you have a question, you can drop it in the chat box or use the Q&A function on Zoom. While that is going on, Farid, my last final question is, if you have like anything, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us today that we didn't capture during the course of this conversation since?
Yeah. Yeah, I think what I would just say is much more around the work we do at Smarted Initiative. Yes. And for us, for many years, we've seen how we've transformed like local actions into like policy implementations. And currently, what we are doing is seeing how we can improve the educational sector. And our work is around ensuring, now that we are having the emergence of artificial intelligence, we want to see how we can incorporate this into the educational sector, majorly in Nigeria, because in the next 5 years, artificial intelligence is going to take up almost about 25% of the global world economy, where there's a whole lot of investment in it, and also edtech as well. So for us, we are seeing how we can be innovative and also creating existing framework whereby the educational sector will have access to infrastructures on the underserved communities, and as well seeing how young people, children, especially girls, will start having access to digital skills. And we are currently working with a whole ministries of education in Nigeria, and also seeing how they can develop ethical and technology and artificial intelligence policy, which will support frameworks that will support access to digital skills, inclusion, and for young people. And for me, we are always open to working with everyone who is willing to support, even the young professional network.
Of
And
course,
also
yeah.
seeing how we can enhance our work, the capacities of supports we have, impact, and
Yeah.
And for lastly, it's just putting in more advice for young people that they keep saying we are the future leaders, but things have changed now. We are now the leaders. The leaders are now, and we are here, and we need to start taking up responsibility of our challenges, problems in our communities.
Mm.
Because a leader doesn't come down to your community to solve a problem. Doesn't mean you can't take it up to him, meet him there, or
Mm.
also contribute to solving this problem together. So we we are going to ensure a sustainable development when we have collective action and when we work as partners and collaborators in solving our problems. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much, Farid, for sharing that. And I invite everyone on the call and those that are going to watch the recording to please get involved with Smart Aid Initiative. You can volunteer, you can collaborate. Definitely the YPN who are part of your network, and we're going to like also get involved as well. So I guess like you're able to like answer all the questions because there's no question in the Q&A function on Zoom. So thank you so much again, Farid, for joining us on the call today. And thank you to everyone who joined the call as well. That means you're taking your self-development very serious and you are, on the path to improving yourself more and more. I'll just advise everyone to please go back and watch the recording of this section, take down notes, and take down action points for yourself because I think, Paris, you've dropped like really, really good nuggets that we need to imbibe in ourselves as young professionals navigating through life, through relationship, and through our leadership journeys as well. Also, I would invite everyone to please follow the Young Professionals Network on all social
Yes,
media
please.
platforms.
Yeah.
We are on LinkedIn, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we're leveraging AI as well. We're moving with the trends as well. And also we're on YouTube. So subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And you can also send us an email at the YPN at the Young Professionals Network at gmail.com. You can send us your questions, you can send us like recommendations or anything that you want to see, maybe to volunteer with the YPN. This would be a good place to start a volunteering journey as well. And then we also like have help desk that you can reach out to as well. So thank you all so much for joining the call today. Thank you again, Farid, for agreeing to do this with us and for sharing from your plethora and wealth of knowledge. So see you all in our next YPN webinar. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nancy. It's such an incredible time and opportunity to be on the same session with you. And you guys are doing incredible work, and I really appreciate the work you're doing. And thank you for having me, and to everyone who joined and also watching this session. Like, thank you so much. And please, just like Nancy said, follow the YPN. And thank you, Alexander, for the thumbs up as well. It's nice having you. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.